And so we're going to begin our service today I will be reading our mission statement to you. So if you know it, you can join me. And if you don't know it, I invite you just to kind of take it in. It goes like this. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's what we're up to here at Living Beyond Limits, is we are giving ourselves the opportunity by being in this space of being conscious of spirit, giving ourselves the opportunity through the words that are spoken and the readings that are done and the songs that are sung, and actually just being in the company of each other to feel that presence of the infinite one that lives within us. That presence of the divine, that one life, that one power, that one intelligence, that one love that expresses itself in and through everything, that is so easy to witness here in nature, that creative power, that creative presence that is expressing itself, that presence also lives within us. It is the very core essence of our beingness, that which we have come from, and actually that which we have come as, incarnated here on this planet. But what happens is, as we recognize that presence is always closer than our very breathing, that presence of love and peace and wholeness and goodness, that then we have access to it when the world is not reflecting back to us peace or love or wholeness or goodness. Then we get to tap into that presence and that power within us, and we bring that into the world, into the conversation, into the relationship in a way that is healing. Healing to us, healing to the person, and actually healing to this entire world, because we are all connected to each other, connected to the whole of things. So as we do that, we are acting as a beneficial presence, and we are giving way to our own spirits and to the presence of the divine. And so I thank every single one of you for saying yes to the call of your own spirit to be walking this spiritual path and to be bringing that presence into this world in a way that is healing and in a way that is beneficial. So thank you for that. And so on podium with me this morning is our practitioner, Barbara Conant. She's going to come up and lead us in an evocation as we begin to evoke an awareness of the presence of spirit and do a contemplative reading for us. And Rick Dale is going to sing the song, I Open Up. So if you know that, you can sing along. If not, I invite you just to settle into yourself, into that quiet space, and just let those words take you even deeper.
So I invite you to join me in relaxing into this moment.
I invite you to join me in relaxing into this moment, setting aside any concerns, and as I align my thoughts to this higher life which is ever present within, I move into this sacred space even deeper than before. And I realize the source of all manifests itself as unlimited light and of love. Creation pours its abundance into everything, and love is everywhere present. It's seen and felt in the beauty which surrounds us and our activities today. Love is given to all, and I recognize I am a part of its magnificence. As Spirit gives love, I also give love. For I am God's expression as life, and this is true for everyone. So I am grateful for this day, our day of opportunity to get together to celebrate Spirit. I bless Reverend Jennifer and the words that she speaks today, knowing it leads us into higher consciousness and recognition of the truth that is ever present around us. I bless Rick and his wonderful music. I bless everyone here today, and I simply say, and so it is. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My reading today is a blend from Miraculous Living by Rabbi Shoni Labowitz and from David and my friend, Dr. Lightman. And it begins like this: forgiving may appear as one word, but in its inner meaning, there are two words, for and giving. Forgiving has less to do with another and more to do with giving to yourself. Giving yourself to the freedom to let go of illusions of boundaries and limitations. From the moment you entered this world, you were given a light to carry, which increased or diminished according to your thoughts, your words, and your actions. In acknowledging your wrongs and mistakes, even your difficulty in forgiving others, you arrive at unconditional acceptance of yourself. In this acceptance of self, you are better able to release others to divine order and the authority of their own spirit. In the process of forgiveness, you have the opportunity to witness, reflect, accept, to let go, and to be open. Forgiveness is not so much for another as it is for you. So for you to express forgiveness, it relieves you of the burden of anger and contempt that is a poison to your own being, your own joy, and your peace. Forgiving is opening the generosity of your spirit and the wisdom of your understanding to a life that holds the truth of many interchanging and interconnecting forms of reality. All variations of experiences are here for you to become more intimate with yourself, with God, and life on earth. And so it is.
What a beautiful song. Did you write that song?
No, that's a Matthew West song.
That's beautiful. I've never heard that before. And Barbara, your reading was beautiful too. Thank you so very much. Beautiful. And so, have you ever felt ashamed about something that you've done? Have you ever had a hard time letting yourself off the hook or forgiving yourself for something that you have said or done, or something perhaps that you did not say or did not do? Or have you ever held a resentment against someone else for how they wronged you somehow or how they've hurt you? Yom Kippur begins tonight at sundown and then ends tomorrow night at sundown. And it is actually the day of atonement, where we come back into harmony and come back into a sense of balance and order and peace. The Day of Atonement is a day for making amends. It's a day for moving beyond. It's a day for restoring unity and harmony, and it is the highest holy day in the Jewish religion. In the Jewish religion, they believe that on Yom Kippur, God seals your fate for the coming year. And that sealing of your fate is based on your actions and your intentions from the previous year. And so what happens then is Jewish people spend the 10 days prior to Yom Kippur being very introspective. They spend that time doing a personal inventory for the year prior, looking at wrongs that they have committed against themselves or against another person or against God. They take that time to take personal responsibility for their actions, for their shortcomings, and for their missteps. And then following that time of reflection and a personal inventory, they then make amends to those people whom they have injured. They ask for forgiveness and they right the wrongs that they have committed. It is also a time, Yom Kippur, and those 10 days prior, the days of awe, to forgive others for their wrongdoings, to forgive others and to mend old hurts, and to ask God for forgiveness. It's a time of coming clean. It's a time of leaving the past behind, so that each one of those people can start with a fresh start and start with a clean slate, because this also marks the beginning of the Jewish New Year. And so imagine that happens every single year, cleaning that slate and cleaning up whatever needs to be cleaned up and forgiving others and forgiving yourself, so that you get to start fresh and you're not carrying around any of that old stuff anymore. And so how does Yom Kippur relate to us then as members of Centers for Spiritual Living, as metaphysicians? You know, I know that we have all made mistakes. We have all been careless in things that we have done. We have all hurt others, and we've done things that are selfish. We've been self-centered, and we've probably done all of those things just in this last year. We've also been hurt by others. And so if you think back over this past year, you know, maybe you've done things like snapped at the cashier when she didn't really deserve it. Or maybe you didn't let that other person in the lane on the freeway because you were in such a hurry. And after all, isn't it just all about you? Maybe you didn't follow through on a commitment. Maybe you didn't follow through with something that you told someone that you would do. Or maybe you didn't pay back money that you borrowed from someone. Maybe you were careless with someone that you love and care about, and you did something like forget their birthday or something like that, or didn't return the phone call. Maybe you insulted someone. We've all done lots of those kinds of things. On Yom Kippur, the thing is that everybody goes to the temple. It's the highest holy day of the entire Jewish year, that they all say those prayers of forgiveness together, because it's recognized that we all, as human beings, make mistakes. We all do things that we regret afterwards. Those prayers said to God, asking for forgiveness. But, you know, at Centers for Spiritual Living, we don't believe that God has ever judged us in the first place, that love doesn't judge. In fact, in the Science of Mind textbook, it says, no one judges us but ourselves. No one gives to us but ourselves. And no one robs us but ourselves. We need not fear God or the devil. There is no devil, and God is love. One of the core concepts in our teaching says, in the eternal now, there can be no place for divine anger, unforgiveness, or punishment. If we perceive a need for forgiveness, this is a human condition. Human forgiveness is the process that frees us to live in the eternal now. So the problem isn't that God judges us. The problem is that we judge ourselves so harshly, and that we hold ourselves in condemnation. We hold ourselves like that, and we hold others in that condemnation who have hurt us. And in turn, what happens then is we feel guilty, or we feel ashamed. We feel bad about ourselves because we've fallen short of our own ideals and our own personal values. And what happens then is we feel undeserving. We feel undeserving of love. We feel undeserving of the good of life. We feel undeserving of all sorts of things. And so I'd like to share a story with you. It goes like this. When Lee Kravitz lost his job, he found himself at loose ends, unhappy with the man he'd become. A workaholic, Kravitz was a dad who didn't go on vacation with his kids or make time for their baseball games. As a husband, he let his wife Elizabeth do most of the child rearing and household chores. In an attempt to right the wrongs he'd committed in his life, Kravitz decided to devote an entire year to reconnecting with people who matter to him and taking care of long overdue debts and promises. Kravitz has since written a book called Unfinished Business, One Man's Extraordinary Year of Trying to Do the Right Things. It's about the 10 journeys he took to right the wrongs in his life. In one of those journeys, the debt was literal. He had borrowed $600 from a friend when they drove through India and Pakistan, retracing the route of Alexander the Great. Kravitz said the loan weighed on him heavily. In my mind, this debt just grew and grew until it was $6 million that I owed him. As a result, I didn't keep in touch with someone that I had shared one of the great adventures of my life. As Kravitz got older, and the memories got a little hazy, he says he felt compelled to get back in touch with his old friend. So I sent him the check for $600, and lo and behold, he didn't even remember that I had borrowed it from him. What was wonderful, says Kravitz, is that his friend then passed the money along to his son, his own son, who was at the same age that the two of them were when they took that trip, when they traveled through Asia. Kravitz hopes the son might be able to take a similar adventure. Kravitz says he isn't sure what's next for him, but he said, I think the important thing is that I spent a year resetting my priorities. That's what I had to do, so that's what I did. He says that no matter what he does going forward, writing or getting back into the rat race, he believes this year of reset will help him stay true to himself. The guy that he borrowed the money from didn't even remember. Yet for all those years, it weighed heavily on him. And he felt bad about that, and therefore bad about himself. And when we feel bad about ourselves, or we feel bad about our behaviors or our actions, what happens is it diminishes our self-esteem, and it lowers our self-image. And sometimes it can even lead to self-hatred. It causes us to not sleep well and to grind our teeth at night and to eat too many cookies and ice cream when we're not even hungry. It causes us to do all sorts of self-destructive behavior. And to me, the worst is the self-condemnation that comes out of that. Because that self-condemnation closes us off to our own innate peace. It closes us off to our own innate well-being. It closes us off to experiencing our wholeness and our goodness. And in turn, then, that keeps us from bringing our best self to life and being the best that we can be. So the title of my talk today is Coming Home. And what I'm talking about is that we do block that peace and our own well-being when we hold that harsh judgment and condemnation about ourselves. But when we are able to take responsibility for our actions and show up and be responsible, then something greater happens. We move back into our own spirit, and we're able then to express our spirit in the world and express our goodness and be that clear conduit for that divine presence to express itself in us and through us and into this world as a greater good. When we clean up what needs to be cleaned up, we're a better person. That's why in Matthew 5:23 and 24 it says, if you are presenting your gift at the altar and remember there that your brother has something against you, leave your gift before the altar and first go and be reconciled with your brother. Then come offer your gift. You know, it's the same thing on Yom Kippur and these 10 days of awe. You take responsibility and do what needs to be done in this physical world and make amends and clean things up before you come to God. Because God can forgive you for things that you've done against God, but your fellow humans need to forgive you before you come to God for those prayers. But it's really, to me, in our cleaning the stuff up that we're able to forgive ourselves is really what happens. Studies show that short-term guilt mobilizes us to change our behavior, but studies show that long-term guilt, that carrying shame and guilt and self-hatred compels us to act in harmful ways towards ourselves and to other people. It causes us to be in self-destructive relationships and to participate in self-destructive behaviors. That's why taking that personal inventory and making amends is such a huge part of the 12-step program. Because taking that personal inventory and making those amends frees us of the guilt that we are carrying. Because most people that have been using or drinking have done a lot of things that they regret after the fact, and that making amends and making things right allows them to let that go and to start clean. Holding on to that self-condemnation is enough to keep people drinking and using, just to numb out so they don't have to feel those feelings. And so taking personal responsibility and making amends and apologizing frees us of our own self-condemnation. It allows us to learn and to grow and to evolve and to be our best selves in the world. And so I told you a story a year ago or so, and I'm going to tell it again because it was so impactful, that when I was a teenager, I was pretty rotten. And one time I was with some friends, and we had gone to the junior high school that I'd gone to, and, whoa, hold on. Thank you. I didn't bring a clip today. I did last time. Thank you. Thank you. That's perfect. I had gone with some friends to the junior high school that I went to, and they were throwing baseballs and broke some windows, and I participated in breaking those windows at the school. And I carried that regret for at least 20 years. I felt so bad as an adult about participating in that kind of behavior, and I realized at some point that I needed to make it right. So what I did is I wrote a check and I sent it to Long Beach Unified School District to pay for those windows. And while I knew that was the right thing to do, and it made me feel a little bit better, I still carried this remorse with me for years after that. It was like the one thing that I just couldn't forgive myself for doing. And so it was about a year ago that I think I was writing a talk for Yom Kippur and realized there's something I still need to do to clean this up so that I feel complete about it. And what I did is I went to See's Candy and bought a big box of See's Candy, and I took it to the middle school by my house. And I went in and asked the secretary if I could speak to the principal. And I went to the principal and told her, you know, when I was a teenager, I was a really rotten kid. And I wanted to bring you this See's Candy today for you and your staff to just tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing and how hard it is, I know, to work with middle schoolers. And that principal got tears in her eyes a little bit and thanked me and said, you have no idea how much we needed this today. Me doing that allowed me to feel complete with it. It allowed me to let go of that which I had been carrying for 30 years. So it's really about us cleaning up what needs to be cleaned up so that we feel complete with it, so that we feel okay about ourselves. I think it's really interesting that confession is one of the sacraments of the Catholic Church. Because if you don't know what the word sacrament means, is it means a window to experience grace. A sacrament is a window so that we can experience that divine presence. It's a window for us to experience peace and love and goodness. Forgiveness of ourselves creates that doorway for our own peace and well-being and deservability and self-love. It opens us to the good that is everywhere because we feel deserving of it and we feel lovable then. So we can use this holy day of the Jewish year as a reminder, this day of Yom Kippur, as a reminder of the importance of making amends, of the importance of finishing and cleaning up what needs to be cleaned up. We can use it as a reminder to forgive ourselves and to forgive others and to right our wrongs. Like I told you, Judaism teaches that you have to go to your fellow human beings and clean it up in the material world first. It's a reminder to do that so that we can experience atonement. To atone means to move beyond, to grow from, so that we can use it, atonement, at one-ment, so we can be at one with peace and love and the presence of God in our lives. And so I invite you this week to take time to do some introspection, to look in your own life at what needs cleaning up. Is there something you have said, or something you've done, or something you did not say, or something you did not do? To look inside of you and see if there's something inside of you that just doesn't feel good, something you're still carrying. To make amends where needed, and to take responsibility so that you can have a clean slate and a fresh and new beginning. And know that it's human to make mistakes. You are spiritually perfect and humanly imperfect, as are all of we. We all make mistakes. You aren't unique in your missteps. So step out of your own self-condemnation. Step out of holding yourself in contempt and have compassion for your humanity, for being a human being. Instead of judging yourself, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this thing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe as human beings that we all do this thing. And then make it right. Apologize, clean it up, make amends, take responsibility, make it right. Give that birthday card that you forgot to give so long ago. Arrange to pay back that money that you owe, even if it's $1 a week. Or even if you need to work it off instead of paying it back. let that next person in the lane on the freeway and do it from love and from the goodness that lives within you. And as a result, you will be returning home to your own divine self, to your own spiritual nature, to your own self and your own peace. Home in God where you've been all the time. And so blessings to each and every single one of you on this path of growth and unfolding and coming to recognize and live from your own spirit. Blessings to each and every single one of you. And so I invite you to join me in an affirmative prayer. And so how good it is to answer this call to prayer, to answer that call of our own spirits to remember that yes, indeed, that presence of God is right here. That presence of God in whom we live and move and have our beingness at every single moment in our lives. And that presence is a presence of love. It is a presence of compassion and gentleness. It is a presence of absolute intelligence that expresses within us as inner guidance and intuition, that it leads us and guides us on our spiritual path, that we live in this presence of the One as does each and every person, and therefore we are each one in this presence, connected, eternally connected to each other. For we have all come from this one, and we all live in this one, and we all give way to this one. And so today, in our turning within, we recognize whatever it is that needs to be cleaned up. For our spirit is calling us back home to the place of our own goodness and our own wholeness. And so I recognize that, honestly, we have been whole and perfect all of the time. And so we just step back into that light of our own being, that light of the divine presence, and how good it is. And so I speak a word for this entire world, knowing that that presence of the divine right now is unfolding itself in the hearts and the minds and the lives of every person on this planet. That it is leading and guiding each and every single one of us from a place of our own wholeness and our own love that is the essence of our own beingness. That we as human beings make wise choices that serve the collective whole. That we make choices based in love and in kindness and in oneness. And in that, this planet and all its inhabitants thrive. And so it is with a grateful heart for each and every single one of us and our recognition of this presence that I release this prayer into the creative law of the universe, knowing that it is unfolding itself already, simply because we have placed our attention upon it and called it forth and said yes to that divine presence within us. And so I release this prayer into the law, and I say, thank you, God, and so it is.
And now for our affirmation.
For our affirmation today, I'm going to say a sentence, and if you would repeat after me. This week, I reflect and look at what I need to clean up. This week, I reflect and look up to clean up. I listen to my heart. I listen to my heart, and it guides me to where I need to make amends. And it guides me to where I need to make amends. I forgive myself and others. I forgive myself and others. In turn, I come home to my own spirit. In turn, I come home to my own spirit and to my own well-being and to my own well-being. And so it is.
And so it is now time for our offering. So if you brought an offering today, I invite you to come forward and leave it, and you can place it in the basket. And Rick Dale is going to sing "I'm So Blessed," and you are invited to join him if you'd like to. And so I invite you to join me in a blessing of this offering. And so I bless this offering today as I bless this community, knowing that this offering is the thing that supports this community, enabling us to continue to stay in business and to be of service in this world. Knowing that this offering today blesses each one of us here and blesses each and every person who is to come here in the future. And so I bless this offering, I bless this community, I bless this service. And I invite you with me to just send a blessing out into this entire world. And I say, thank you, God. And so it is. And so I just have a couple of invitations for you as we close this service. And one is that we will be here again in 2 weeks. We also come here on Thursday mornings at 10:30 and have coffee, so you're invited to join us for that. Bring your own coffee and a chair and a mask. We've been having donuts, but nobody's really been eating donuts, so if you want to come and you want a donut, text me or email me, and I'll go get donuts on the way. But it's really nice. People have been bringing some little bit of inspiration to read, but mostly it's just getting to spend time with each other and to be in the beauty under the trees and just to get together. We're also doing a Thursday evening Zoom call. If you aren't on our mailing list, you can let me know today, or you can let Ray know, and he will get you on our email list, which gives you the code to get into the Zoom call on Thursday nights. And it is Connection and Spiritual Practice, which is really usually some sort of a meditation and some introspective questions, some quotes we talk about, and then we break into small groups to get to share with each other and be in that energy of love and support and spiritual connection with each other. Ray would like you to join our YouTube channel, and then it gives you a one-click. It also gives him some other things that he can read about who watches the YouTube videos and how long and that kind of stuff if you joined our YouTube. So I invite you to subscribe. That's it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that's it. Are you going to sing a song for us to close us out?
We're going to release.
Okay, let's sing I Release.